How do you turn kids into lifelong advocates for Lake Champlain? Put them in a kayak and paddle. Today on Across the Fence, we're learning about a hands-on program building the next generation of lake lovers. Hello, Vermont. One of the best things about immersive experiential learning is it's sneaky. When your parent says, hey, I'm signing you up to build a kayak and then paddle it from Virgins to Canada with a bunch of other kids, you hear, ooh, fun, not, ooh, summer school. Nonetheless, the kids who have been spending this summer building boats and going on paddling adventures with the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum are putting all kinds of valuable skills and knowledge into practice. They're also having a lot of fun while deepening their love of Lake Champlain. And that is the whole idea. Joining me to talk about the power of these immersive programs at the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum is Laura Caldwell, the museum's expeditionary program manager. Laura Caldwell, welcome to Across the Fence.
Hey, thank you.
It's really nice to have you here. So to get us started, give us an overview of how boat building and boating fits into education at the museum all year round, because this is kind of a big part. I mean, the boatyard is a very extensive operation, and this is not just a place where a person can come and think about the history of boats on Lake Champlain. It can be very hands-on and actually making a boat. So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so we're open in the summer, but there's a lot actually going on all year round. In the winter here, starting in the fall, students from Middlebury High School are gonna come and build a pilot gig, and they've been doing this every year for close to 30 years. So this will be our 28th boat. It takes about 6 months, and it's
is a pilot gig one of the boats? Is that's where we have some great pictures? So that's what they're building in these pictures.
Yep.
It's a pilot gig. Okay, so this is a big kind of a long boat.
Yeah, and they really do it from log to boat.
That's
so
amazing.
they go out in the woods in the winter and they look at what it takes to find a tree to build a boat with. Sawmill comes and they mill all the lumber for next year, and then they are really doing every part of it, and they're building this huge boat. And out of that has grown, because we've been doing it for so long. Nick Patch started the program.
And still runs the program.
Yep. Yeah, Nick Patch is still there. So out of that has grown all these rowing programs, because we've got all these boats. So there's adult community rowing on weekday nights, and there's student rowing. A lot of local schools are using them every day and rowing after school.
That's pretty remarkable. And then we get to the summer, and in the summer you really sort of seize the moment to get kids out on the water, right? So we've got like the kayaking program, but it's not just kayak. So talk about what some of those programs are like for kids in the summertime.
Yeah, summer's pretty busy, especially for me. So our summer starts with our kayak building program. So that's another boat building program started by Nick a while back. And kids come and they build a whole kayak in 3 weeks. So it's a tight turnaround, and that's been going on for a long time. So we've built at the museum close to 300 kayaks at this point.
Incredible.
Yeah, and then they take them on a trip up Lake Champlain. And that one is followed by a sailing trip with a group of kids. So they go sailing here out of the museum. We've got a lot of sailboats. We've got a lot of boats.
Do they have to have had sailing skills already? Or? No? Okay.
No.
Put them in a boat, teach them how to sail, off they go.
Yeah, nobody needs to know how to do anything. We'll teach it all. And we've got a rowing trip in those boats that are built at the museum, and then a canoeing trip with kids in the summer too. And most of the boats we're using have been built at the museum.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different educational model, because this is not classroom learning, and yet they have to use a lot of skills that they would have learned in the classroom. I'm thinking that when you are building a boat from scratch, there's a lot of math involved, measuring and cutting and all of these types of things. And then they also have the social experiences. Like what is outdoor learning? How is it different from just being in a classroom?
Yeah, we're hoping that all of these programs, the point is education, but it's really about letting the experience do the teaching, and there's no set curriculum. So it's letting the boat building teach math and problem solving, and letting the lake, learning from the lake, letting like the strong headwind teach resilience. and letting like the rainstorm teach you how to set up a shelter with your group, with your team.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Letting the headwind teach resilience? Yeah. That should be on a t-shirt. I want that on a t-shirt. That is fantastic. Well, yeah. And it's also pretty physical activity. I mean, well, we're going to talk about the kids that kayaked out this summer, but the intention is to leave Virgins and to go all the way to Canada. Yeah. Those are long days. That's a lot of physical activity. I mean, are the kids, they're not coming in like, hardened physical gym rat warriors or anything like that. How do they handle it?
Yeah, most of them are just local Vermont kids that have never paddled before, never kayaked before.
It's pretty incredible.
It's not always easy. It can be hard sometimes. Some days are hard.
Well, back in mid-July, Ben Willis and I headed down to the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum to meet up with this year's group of kayakers who were the first of the summer sailors heading out on the water. Let's take a look.
It's a hot July day on Lake Champlain, and these young adventurers are trying to fit everything they will need for the next week into a kayak.
Well, I was packing my kayak. I was really thinking about how long I was going to be on the lake and all the fun I was going to have, and I'm super excited for this adventure. It's pretty difficult, too, to Tetris it all, and there's a lot of gear.
Clothes, camping gear, and food all have to travel with them. The expedition is part of a program at the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum.
I brought 3 wet bags and 1 bag to put on the front of my kayak so I can just grab stuff like sunscreen, bug spray in it, and I've got my hat and my sunglasses in there. So yeah, quite a lot of stuff.
But these are not just kayaks. They were built by young people during the museum's summer boat building camp, starting with pieces of wood and ending with boats ready for the lake.
It was very fun. A lot of epoxy, a lot of shoes ruined from the trips, but it was very cool. It took 3 weeks for us to complete, which included from start, which is just pieces of wood, to painting it, and it was a very, very fun experience.
Of the campers leaving today, Bo is the only one paddling a kayak he built himself.
Yeah, the boat I built, it's over there, the gray and white one. It's called the Water Walter, after my late cat. I'm pretty confident in it.
The confidence came after hundreds of small connections and plenty of careful work.
When we put all of the boards together at first, you have to take copper wire and put it through 2 holes and twist it together. And that was probably the hardest part for me because the copper wires dug into your fingers, and it was like 800 of them.
What would happen out there if you didn't have your epoxy and your copper wires all right? What would happen to a boat out there?
Either it wouldn't go straight or it would sink. So 2 things that I wouldn't really want to happen. So hopefully it's all set.
Looking good?
The other campers are borrowing boats built by students before them. Ella hopes to return and build one of her own.
I think that having your own kayak makes the expedition more special because you have something that you built with your own hands.
Ragnar is taking a more practical view.
I like the boat a lot. The paint's peeling, which is kind of annoying, but I feel like the hardware itself and everything is going to hold together well for me. And if it doesn't, I guess I'll swim with the fishes. Have some fun.
Before launch, the group practiced what to do if one of the narrow kayaks tips.
You just pop out of the boat and do a T-rescue, which is where you get the water out and then someone flips it back over for you. So pretty much, worst for worst, I'll be fine.
Then one by one, they pushed away from shore.
Nice! Yeah, you got it! Let's do it! Let's do it! We are going to take inspiration from Robert McCloskey's most famous children's book, Make Way for Ducklings, and get in a single file line with Mother Goose and the Frog.
soon the work of packing and preparation gives way to open water, and a week of paddling, camping, and seeing Lake Champlain from a new perspective.
I'm most looking forward to really just being out on the water in this expedition because, I don't know, I think it's going to be really peaceful and just a nice break.
Most of these young kayakers have only just met, but with a week on the water ahead of them, they don't expect to stay strangers for long.
Well, this is my first day knowing them, but I think they're all pretty cool people so far. I mean, yeah, I've only known them for a couple hours.
I've never met any of these people, but they all seem pretty cool.
For now, their boats point toward open water, the Adirondack Mountains in the distance, and a week of exploration ahead. An adventure carried in kayaks, built by kids, for kids. On Lake Champlain, I'm Ben Willis with Across the Fence.
Absolutely amazing. Okay, so something else I really love about this program, two things I love. No phones, which is incredible. Never happens in these days. And also that no kid who wants to do the program is turned away. And this is an expensive program, so tell me how that works.
Yeah. We call it Pay What You Can, and we're trying to move towards that with a lot of our programs. Our admission to the museum is free. You just pick a price. We've got a suggestion, but you pick anything from $0 to the whole thing and pay whatever works for your family, no questions asked.
Yeah. How does that fit in then with like all of these different programs? How do they really help with establishing that connection to the lake? Because I think you and I talked before, and you talked about the lake and water activities as being sort of a privileged space sometimes.
Yeah.
How are you bridging that gap?
Yeah. Being able to recreate can be expensive, having the time to do it. It's historically pretty privileged. So we're getting kids out that might not have otherwise had this opportunity. And they're being able to learn on the lake and get to know the lake in a new way and hopefully fall in love with Lake Champlain.
Yeah, and when they are in love with Lake Champlain, they're more likely to be protectors of Lake Champlain for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
I think that's pretty fantastic. Okay, well, you don't have to be a kid or a camper to learn at the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum. Summer may be winding down, but there are still lots of programs and events coming up between now and when the October closes in mid-October. And of course, admission to the museum is free to everyone every day. Their website information is right there on the screen. Go check it out. It is truly one of my favorite places in Vermont. Laura Caldwell, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and good luck with the rest of the summer. And as always, thank you, Vermont, for learning and exploring with me today, and thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.